All right, so very good afternoon to all of you. It's the 26th day of October 2023, which means it's the final, this is the final Thursday in the month of October. But lots of things have been happening in the country, particularly when it comes to communities affected by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam and the Amoah dams. I'm sure for many of you have been following. The president has been there. The vice president has been there. The president, while he went there, to Mepe, for instance, spoke, and that generated lots of controversies. Of course, at the time, the president talked about the fact that if it were only for those who voted for him, he certainly wouldn't have been here. He's shown up because it didn't matter who voted for him. Once you're a Ghanaian, you certainly deserved his attention and support once you needed them. Well, some have interpreted it to mean the president out of touch with reality, not so sensitive to the plight of the people. But of course, following from that, the vice president has been there. Other political actors have been there. But the question today is, what is the political cost of the spillage of the Akosombo and Amoah dams? And today, I'm here with Elton John Brobbey. Elton, thank you very much for joining us here on State of Play. So I know you've been following this in the newsroom, you've been doing all the stories on it, but let's look at the political cost of this. Okay, the president has been there, vice president has been there, John Mahama has been there, Alan Tremantin has been there. What's the political cost in all of this?
Well, I think that you are right when you start to look at it from the political angle. And it is pretty obvious that apart from the fact that some people are in some difficulty, the political capital cannot be taken away from it. Because clearly, when this matter happened, where was President Akufo-Addo? He was in the United States of America, attending to some program on democracy. And then he came down, and when he went to the place, he said he had come there to look at the situation and to find out how government can assist the people. Before that, the weekend before the president arrived from Ghana and then went to the Volta region, former President Mahama went there to see things for himself and to offer some kind of help. And then he was followed by Alan Tremantin, who is trying to build his political foundation in terms of how he wants to hold himself available and in a unique position for the 2024 general election. So clearly, they were there because an opportunity had presented itself for them to sort of capitalize on it and make themselves known. And then it is that we had President Akufo-Addo, who came from the US and then went to Volta region to say the things that he said. But then you look at it from the angle of whether these people are really sincere in terms of the political actors who've been there. Because the effects of the Volta leak and of course the spillage from the Akosombo Dam perhaps is more pronounced in the Volta region. But the effect didn't start from the Volta region. Let's go back, let's say 3 or 4 weeks back. We did a story about flooding of we pay, for example, where 6,000 people lost their homes, their livelihoods, and they blamed We Power then for the spillage. And then We Power issued a statement saying that they cannot be held responsible because they had not undertaken any spillage as at that time. And then we were told that the spill water found itself to the Bune East region. So for example, you have about 10 communities in the Poo East and Poo West badly affected. People have left their homes and they are now living in their farms and, no man's land. This happened like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Nobody spoke about it. They didn't attract the attention that the Volta region is attracting now. But then we got to know that it was overflow of the Volta Lake that resulted in the flooding of Bupe all the way to the parts of the Bune East region. And now we are told that even parts of the Ashanti, the Afram Plains areas. These people are running with in their 10,000s. As we speak now, has there been any clear-cut plan or any pronouncement, associated with the plight that the people in these regions are facing, apart from comments we've heard from the MPs in the area, for example, Dr. Kwabena, who is very pronounced, who is very articulate, who is very concerned, and also very unhappy with the lack of attention paid to the Poo area. Now, the matter became more severe in the Volta region because the numbers and maybe somebody took it upon himself to make it known. And that is the reason why now all the attention now shifted to the Volta. Even the Volta region the concentration was more in the Mepe area because of how some people took it upon themselves to make sure that the world became aware of what was happening. So it became a political ball game, a political football, if you like. And the people took advantage of it, and they went there. But the question you're asking yourself is, in spite of going to have that photo opportunity, what really have some of these people done in terms of meeting the daily concerns of the people, even for education, for example? Now we have been told our plans. Weeks after floods has devastated the entire area, thousands of people of school-going age are not in school. Teachers have been left homeless. As at last count, almost 2,000. They are now thinking of plans to make it happen.
You see, and you make a very important point. The moment that happened, it took a political twist. Because now people would go there. They would ask themselves questions. Okay, so who's been able to sympathize with the people? And Ghanaians will be watching. And once Ghanaians begin to watch, political actors automatically would want to gain some political capital. So let's look at who's been able to make the most political capital out of this. Now, when the president went there, I said, okay, so it's good the president is going there, because during the storm surge or the tidal waves in Ketu South and the Keta areas, you didn't see the president there. Yeah. People raised all manner of concerns and said, why did the president not show up? Why did the vice president not show up? So it was good when the president went there. Now, it was good when he also said that I have come here to show support and to help you. But then the president lost it. Immediately he talked about if it was for votes only and who voted for me. Now, the statement in itself, I mean, you could say that's like a joke.
Yeah, of course.
But that joke, like we used to say, when
didn't land well,
was an expensive joke. And so the president, at that point in time, didn't have to say this. And I'm sure anybody who's close to the president would admit that the president should not have said that there. Of course, he was trying to communicate to the people that I am here because you are Ghanaians and not because as people would try to portray. Later on, you would get feelings that, okay, so the president was responding to comments earlier that, oh, because we don't vote for him, he didn't come here. He's not shown up here. But that was not necessary at the time. No matter how hard you try to explain it. The statement itself, if after everything, you go back again and say it when the people have now been resettled or the people have now gotten back into their homes, that's okay. But at that point in time, the last thing they need is that statement. If you look at the NDC, John Mahama went there. Subsequently, there's been a donation on his behalf. I mean, John Mahama is, okay, so John Mahama, as soon as they've gone to donate you, you read the stories, they've made donations. I think one person who's gained so much in all of this is Ablakwa.
Of course.
And that's why, so initially, all support was focused on North Tong. Many people did not even know that other areas, for instance, the South Tong, Central Tong, Angloga, and even Adan have all been affected. Okay, because he was actually in there. And that's where you could see that, okay, so sometimes, based on how you communicate, based on how you even act, and he's been on radio every morning, he's always available. If you call him and you don't get him, he's going to get back to you and say, this is the point. I think also that some of, I've heard the sanitation minister say that people, she has been quoted as saying, people, they refuse to move, and that is why this has happened. At this point in time, the people are displaced. Spare us all the blame games. Spare the people all the blame game. The moment you begin to focus on the blame game, the people interpret it to mean you don't care about us.
Yes.
And you see, that's for me is another issue. The moment you begin to say, oh, we told the people they did not move, we told the people they did not move, so they are there, because please, you may have told them they did not move. But at this point in time, what you need to do is to deal with the current problem. When you are done with the problem, Then you say, okay, let's now find out why this happened.
Okay.
Because right now, it's relief efforts that are most important.
I get you.
So when you're done with relief efforts, then you now come and tell us, okay, so why did the people not move? The simulation exercise that we're told was conducted in May. Now, we're told that the simulation exercise was conducted in May, and in the 9 districts that could be affected, the simulation exercise was done in 3 districts. The other ones were notational, so they were giving the same notes. If anything happens, this is what you're supposed to do. The question is, even as part of the simulation exercise, how many people were reached? So you don't come in at this point in time and say, oh, if you had left, we wouldn't have been here, if you had left. And I think that, look, at this point in time, the government should have one channel of communicating. They did it so well under COVID-19, so well under COVID-19. And I think they can learn some lessons from COVID-19. I don't know what your thoughts, but I think they could say, they could have done things differently.
Well, I think that, let me start from the president's comments and to say that maybe it was meant to sort of put some smiles on the faces of people who are distressed because of the flooding. Sometimes you go to funeral, people pass jokes in their tribute, just to bring some lightness to perhaps the heaviness that usually characterizes some of these. And so perhaps it was meant to sort of let the people smile.
It was
a wrong, and then even the way it was communicated clearly. So that comment perhaps was not needed at that very moment. And so the interpretation people are giving to it, I know that government officers have tried to explain it away, but it's not going. Some of the chiefs in the region themselves are not happy with the fact that the media, some media personnel decided to focus on that message, because they are of the view that they have been hit by a disaster and they were thinking the media will focus on it more. But hey, this is the president who spoke, and obviously whatever the president says will definitely be the headline story. So I agree with you to my extent when you say that such comment was not needed at that particular time. It was not needed more because the people were grieving. And clearly everybody knows, you don't need to tell us that this is the stronghold of the NDC. So even if at that part, even though they had been calls for you to come, you went there, if elections were even held at that particular grounds, there's no way people was going to win. Regardless of whatever, regardless of whatever you were going to give them to, lessen their burden. But clearly, that comment was not needed. You see, this comment could have come from anybody. And would not have gained the attraction that it is gaining. But this is the president of the republic. The minister said that people were warned, they didn't leave. Some are demanding apology. But same comment was made by the deputy NADMO national coordinator, Saji Amedome. He spoke on the SMS and said that one of their failures was that they didn't undertake forced evacuation. It is no different from what the minister said.
You see how he puts it?
But how come they are not attacking him?
That's how he says. He says, but that's the point. We told the people. So because when all of this started, our first thing was to say, why didn't you inform the people?
Exactly.
And they say, we informed the people, but they refused to leave. But you see, this is how he communicates it. They were informed the people, they refused to, they refused to leave also because, in times past when we had done this, and so when we spilled in the first time around 2011 thereabout, we talked about, they expecting a spillage and it didn't affect them so much. So people actually believed that it wasn't going to affect them because we had actually wondered if anything could happen. We had this simulation exercise in May. They had not experienced anything. It was getting to October. So people may have felt that, there's nothing going to happen. And so, yes, that's why they didn't leave. And so, by virtue of not leaving, that is the problem. Even at that point in time, whatever he said, as bad as it may be, whatever he said, it's not bad. Because even though he's trying to blame the people, he makes an excuse for them. Okay. You see, he makes an excuse for the people. And he says, maybe these are the reasons they did not leave. And the moment you make an excuse for the people appreciate that, okay, so you can actually understand them. You believe that this is what they are going through. But when you say, they didn't leave, it's like you're blaming them. And once the people feel that you're blaming them, that is where the problem is. Okay. And that's why I'm saying that, look, the NDC as a party itself may not have taken enough advantage of this, may not have scored a lot of points.
But they need to take advantage of this.
No, when I say may not have scored a lot of points out of this, but what may have happened is that the MPP or the president, let me just say the president, by virtue of what he has said, and you've got a lot of people actually criticizing the president. I'm not saying that politically. I mean, we've all admitted here that when there's in times of disaster, politicians would always want to take advantage. Let's not run away from it. I mean, look, all the things people are doing, you started by saying that Alan Chairman went there, he's one, you introduced him, you said one person who was trying to maximize, galvanize his base, get a lot of, attraction as he seeks to become president of this country. And so automatically, and this is the thing about politics, you must be seen as being there for the people.
Yes.
People vote for those they see themselves in. You must represent the aspirations of a people. And if the people think that you represent their aspirations, they definitely will be voting for you. So look, we can do all the things we want to say. We can say, oh, it doesn't matter. The reality is that the moment we heard the president was going there, people started saying, oh, okay, the president is going. The president is going. The president is going. I mean, I had people in conversations telling me, oh, I'm happy the president is going. I'm happy the president is going. I'm happy the president is going. He's not treating these people like he did to the tidal waves. And I mean...
That's the same region.
Yes. And so people started saying, well, the president has learned his lessons from the tidal waves. He's learned his lessons from what he did in the tidal waves, where he did not show up. Because, when Apiate happened, they were there. Tidal waves, they didn't show up. That kind of thing. Look, let's not pretend we're not in this country. We know very well that people, would always read politics in everything that you do. Particularly when you have less than, a year and a half to elections. That's it, basically.
I get you. I mean, after the politics, you can't take it out. I mean, depending on the party in power, you always find ways to make a stronghold and a non-stronghold look, something else in the eyes of. I remember when John Mahama was in power, there was a point that some people or some political heavyweight from the Ashanti had cause to complain about the non-representation of Ashantis in his cabinet. At some point, according to, apart from the Ashanti regional minister, there was nobody from the Ashanti who was in the former President Mahama's cabinet. These matters will continue to live with us. My thinking is that from the word go, the management of this issue itself has not been the best. Prior to the spillage, during the spillage, and what we are experiencing now. So there's been failure from every step of the way. They undertook simulation exercise. So the outcome of whatever exercise they undertook, is it reflecting on the ground? The number of people who are affected now, VRA is patting themselves on the back and saying that because nobody has died, it's testimony to the fact that they had things in place. That's how come, despite everything that's happened, nobody has died. Fair enough, we'll give it to them. But look at it this way. You had prior notice. You knew that the Volta lake was going to overflow and it was going to have a ripple effect on the Akosombo Dam. So spillage was something that we were not going to run away from. And then you started the spilling. Whether the people decided not to move or some moved is another issue. Thousands of people have been displaced from their homes. Yeah. We don't even, now we are thinking of how to deal with the health issues. We are thinking of how to deal with the educational. So it tells you that from the word go, nothing was planned. We waited for the thing to happen before we are now in a firefighting approach, trying to do something to let the people understand that we care for them. That is absolutely unacceptable. From every side of it. You are now thinking of where to relocate the people. You are thinking of how to provide them with health care. You are thinking of what to do to ensure that they have access to potable drinking water. Even their own substation in Sogakope got flooded. Yeah. Imagine if power was on at the time that it got flooded. I'm sure by now we'll be counting dead bodies instead of dealing with the political capital out of it. So from the technocrats to the political, from the decision makers, I see failure everywhere. And that to me is fundamental in terms of going forward. those who've lost their property, those who've lost their livelihood. Somebody said he invested 200,000 in the fishing business. He's lost everything.
Yeah,
somebody's pigs.
Others have lost millions. Actually,
millions.
And
nobody's even talking about compensation.
No,
nobody's talking about it.
And you see, that's the other point. Today you've heard, we're going to sue VRA. And let's be very honest. And so as we count the political cost, everything that every government institution that is mentioned here as having been negligent or having underperformed its functions, leading to the displacement of people, is an indictment on government.
Exactly.
See, so you may not believe it. You may think, oh, but this is not a government. But you see, once you begin to hit it, and I tell you what, you don't have to openly do these things. Subtly, you'll be doing them. And so all of a sudden, you've seen, we're unhappy, we're going to be dealing with them, we're going to be, I'm getting everybody to go and sue VRA. VRA didn't do the right thing. VRA didn't do the right thing. It didn't do this, it didn't do that. I am saying that, look, the government, NADMO has done a great job. NADMO has done a fantastic job.
Yeah, in the midst of limited resources.
They've done a great job. VRA is trying. They're making the funds available. But the ministers of government who have been speaking, the government appointees who have been speaking, and making it look like they've done their best, please, you have not done your best. You decided to get into government, and once there's a problem, we expect that you will play a role. Don't make it look like, look, we've done well, we've come here, we've done this. No, that is not the way to go. Well, let me just read some of the messages. And Kwame Sapon says, you guys have made a hero out of Ablakwa. He has done nothing special. You promote persons unnecessarily. And I see that Adam Seth says, I can feel your pain. Get a life. I don't know if we're promoting him unnecessarily, Elton. But, this is somebody who's made himself available. And in fact, to be very honest, I've had people calling and wanting to assist, and they say, can you get me a number of Ablakwa? Can you get me a number of Ablakwa?
Well, the thing about Ablakwa is that he didn't run away. Yeah. He was very consistent. He was there for the people. He represented the face of the disaster in his constituency.
Yeah.
I know that the other MPs like Kwame Gape, the Jifag Ablagumeshi, all of them did their part. But in terms of consistency and making sure that help came their way, Ablakwa was actually at the forefront of it. In fact, he was like the face of whatever is happening in the Volta region. And he was consistent with it. Maybe the reason why through the Savannah region and then the part of the Ashanti region did not get the needed attention is because they themselves didn't put the facts out there. But I don't blame them so much. It is the responsibility of state officials to ensure that these things are done, because there's districts in all the affected areas. Yet it took some people out of these districts to make known whatever was happening there. And that is my issue with maybe the regional ministers, some of the district chief executives who sat and pretended that nothing was happening until other people took advantage of this. Ablakwa is a member of parliament, opposition member of parliament. His constituency is under some kind of a difficulty. And if you know him very well, matters that is of concern to him, you always put his best foot forward. Exactly.
Well, it seems to be a banter between Kwame Sapon, Adam Seth, and others. I see Kwame Sapon getting back. That says the easiest job in Ghana, said a camera, lament, then trend. Okay. And Brilliance, Quivi says envy. And John Zoblan says, good afternoon. You say congratulations. I don't know for what. But thank you very, very much for joining us this afternoon on State of Play. We definitely will be back next week. Elton will take a break from next week. The rest of the squad will be here. Evans Mensah and Raymond Akwa will be joining me next week. Do have a lovely weekend. Enjoy your day.